Hey guys, happy Tuesday. I hope your week is going well so far. It seems like the new plan is working out pretty well. I'm hearing some good things from parents and from you guys, and I'm also seeing more students engaged than have been in the last few weeks. So it is awesome. So today, again, after you watch this video, there'll be the check-in, and then there'll be the assignments that you're going to do in addition to your exact path and independent reading, which I'll explain after we start our new book. So thank you those of you that did the check-in yesterday and voted for what book you wanted to read. It was really, really close, okay? So which means we'll probably end up reading both throughout the year. But the first one we're going to read, and it won by only 3 votes, so it was super, super close, is going to be Good Dog. Okay, Good Dog is by Dan Gemeinhart, which if you guys remember when we read The Honest Truth, that was by Dan Gemeinhart. So it's kind of a just a reoccurring author, which is awesome. Okay, it is a little bit of a longer book again. So like our I Survived is only like 90 pages. This is 290 pages. This might take us a few weeks to get through. Okay, the chapters are a little bit longer, so I'm not sure if I'm going to read a whole chapter today. If I find a good place to stop in the middle, it's like 14 pages, so I might stop in the middle because they're kind of like bigger pages and stuff like that too. There's no pictures, so we will see. But I will read the summary of the book real quick, and then we will start the first chapter. So the summary for this book is located on the sleeve, so that's what I'm reading. So it says, Heaven will have to wait. Brody was a good dog, and good dogs are supposed to spend the afterlife in peace. It's perfect. Dogs as far as the eye can see, with endless room to run, huge ponds to splash in, and all the smells you could ever want to smell. But Brody can't enjoy it. As wonderful as it seems, he can't forget the boy he left behind, the boy he loved and who loved him in return, the boy who is still in danger. So Brody breaks the rules. He returns to the land of the living. It's a dangerous place for a spirit to linger, but Brody is determined to find his boy, to save his boy, even if it costs him paradise, even if he loses his eternal soul, because that's what a good dog would do. Okay, chapter 1. Water. All right. Brody didn't remember the exact moment that he died, but he did remember the exact moment that he woke up afterward. When he woke up, he was already running. The grass was wet under his paws. It felt cool and clean and new, like morning. The muscles in his legs flexed and stretched and bounded. They were strong. They were fast. His tongue flapped as he gulped mouthfuls of sweet air. He barked a free and wild bark as the blue skies above him. It was a yes bark, a hooray bark. He wasn't being chased. He wasn't afraid or tired or hungry or hurting. He was happy. The word floated into his head and stayed there. Happy. It was his very first word. Just like that, he had it in his head and he knew it. He knew what it meant. He knew what it felt like. The word sizzled in his head like a piece of hot from the pan salty bacon in his mouth. Happy. His tail was wagging. Tail. That word was next. Then wag. And right after it, running. He barked again. A happy bark, loud and joyful. And then another bark answered him. He turned his head and saw a dog running beside him. She was long and lean with a short brown fur the color of good wet mud. Dog. That was an important word, he knew. It was him. He was a dog. And then mud. Yes, it was a truly wonderful word. Mud. That word made him so happy that he barked again, a high playful yip. He felt the word mud in his head, slappy and slurpy and squishy, and he barked out how he would like that word, how much he liked that word. The other dog barked back. She was matching him stride for stride, her ears bouncing, her eyes shining. Everything he saw put new words into his eyes, new words into his head. Eyes, ears, shining. She stretched out her long legs and just got her nose ahead of Brody's. Play. The word shouted itself into his understanding. He pushed his muscles harder and added length to his strides as he added the 2 words to his growing collection. Race and faster. Brody turned his eyes forward and the world filled in around him. When he'd woken, it had been only the grass under his paws and sky above his head, and then her. But now, like a fog was blowing away, he saw a great green field stretching down before him into a river, blue and sparkling. Here and there were clumps of trees and bushes, and all around him and in front of him and beside him were dogs. Dogs running, dogs jumping, dogs chasing and barking, dogs rolling in that sweet, soft grass, dogs splashing in the river. They were all sizes and colors, and All the tails were wagging, and not a single lip was pulling up in snarl. Happy. All those dogs, each one of their wonderful running, splashing, playful barking dogs, were happy. Brody and the brown dog raced down a gentle slope and toward the river, taking turns being first. His charging legs ate the ground with great galloping bites. His muscles were a celebration as they churned. Running. They thundered down the hill and splashed through the muddy shallows of the river, romping and kicking up the water between them. And as they ran, more and more words rose up and took root in Brody's mind. Tree, bush, teeth, leaf, after, before, rocks, sunshine, claw, water, follow, splash, sand, friend. They ran fast and faster and fastest, and his legs never got tired. His lungs sucked at the air but never came up short of breath. Finally satisfied, they flapped down together on the edge of the river, half in the cool flowing water and half on the grass of the shore. Brody looked down at the smooth blue water and saw a dog looking back up at him. Reflection, his mind whispered. View. He saw short white fur with dark black spots around one eye. He saw one ear that perked up, another that flopped forward, a wet black nose. Me, he thought. The brown dog lapped at the water, drinking in big gulping swallows, and then looking up at him with smiling eyes and dripping snout. You're new, aren't you? She asked. Brody cocked his head. His tail stopped wagging. Her question startled him. It wasn't the words. Yes, they were new, but as soon as she asked them, there they were, in his head, and he knew them. No, it was her voice. It didn't come from her mouth. She didn't bark the words or growl them. The words and her voice were just there in his head. Oh, you are new, she said, in her soundless voice that he could nevertheless hear. You're still getting your words and everything. For the first time since waking, Brody felt something less than happy. He felt confused, scared even. His tail slowed and then drooped. Don't worry, she said, straightening up. Really, it's all good. She stepped forward and nudged her chin under his nose and licked at the corners of Brody's mouth. She was telling the truth. He was a good dog. Believe me. She was a good dog. Believe me, she was. Here, she said, start with this. What's your name? Name, Brody thought. He rolled the word inside in his head like a toy with a squeak hidden inside. My name is me, he thought. It's what I'm called. He shook his head. He searched the clouds in his heart, looking, trying to remember. But Brody, he couldn't remember anything. Not one thing. A little whimper grew in his throat. Then, nowhere, it came to him. Brody's name floated right into his mind and settled there like drifting feather. Almost like an angel put it there. It was a name he had never said because he never talked, but it was a name that he'd heard 100, 1,000 times, even a million. All at once he could hear it. He could hear the name being called. Brody, he said, and his answer did not come from his throat or out through his mouth, but somehow just from his thoughts to hers, just like her words had come to him. Brody, she said, and wagged her tail harder. Hi, Brody. My name is Sasha. Sasha, Brody said to her, and then he barked with his mouth. It was another happy bark. It's great, isn't it? Sasha said. What, the water? She showed him her teeth, happy, and raised her nose to sniff the sunshine in the air. All of it. He looked around, at the sun-sparkled water, the green grass, all of those dogs, and all of those wagging tails. Yes, he said, but he kept looking. As far as he could see, he looked left and he looked right. He turned his head to look at the bright world around him. Brody was looking for something. Something was missing. He didn't know what it was, but he knew without a doubt that it wasn't there. Because Brody, he had one of those hearts that doesn't forget for long. But, he started to say. Yes, Sasha said, and her voice was soft. I know, you're trying to remember. And you will, she said, reaching to tap Brody's paw with her own. Don't worry, you'll remember. Remember what? Brody asked her. Before, Brody. You'll remember before here. You'll remember your life. Life. The word rang in his head and hung there. There were layers to that word, threads that ran through it, light that sparkled within it, and shadows around its edges. It was heavy, warm, a humming word. My life, he repeated. My life before I. He closed his eyes. Before you died, Sasha said, her voice softer than puppy fur. Before you died there and came here. She wiggled closer to him so that the paws were touching. You're dead, Brody. I'm going to stop there because we're about halfway through that chapter and this video is going to get long. Okay, so that was our first glimpse at Good Dog. It is a little bit more serious than some of the books we've read, but it's okay. We'll break it up and we'll talk about it. So what you're going to do today is you're going to do your check-in again today. Things it's going to look just like yesterday, except there will be it won't ask you to tell me about your weekend, and it will not. It'll have different announcements, and we'll have a different question of the day. Okay. Then you're going to do your exact path for 10 to 15 minutes. You're going to read for 20 to 25 minutes, and make sure that you are reading today, because for today's assignments, you're going to need to talk to me about what book you've been reading. And if you haven't been reading a book, then you need to read a book, either an actual book or online at Epic. Okay, and that's one of the resources that we've been sharing out. Okay, you're going to watch another video about main idea. This one's a little bit more in depth. I think it's like 6 minutes. So it's just double the one from yesterday, and it has a little bit more details. And then there's going to be an exit ticket on that one too. Okay, and so today's exit ticket is going to be one your name. The second one is, because this video is going to be talking about strategies to determine main ideas. So now we're going to actually come up with some strategies. So you're going to tell me what a strategy you learned to identify the main idea, because a lot of you guys, your questions, some of you guys have asked questions about how do you actually identify a main idea. So we're going to come up with some strategies tomorrow or today. Next question is going to be, what are you currently reading? So write the name of the book or whatever you read today. Please write that down. And then what do you feel like the main idea is of what you were reading? So tell me the main idea from either the book that you were reading today or from whatever book that you started on Epic or an actual book. Okay, and that is going to be it for today. So again, kind of the same as yesterday, just a little bit longer of a video, and then another exit ticket. Okay, and then some of you guys asked questions about the video yesterday. I'll post those on Google, the answers to those on Google Classroom as well. So for those of you that want to check that out, your question might be there with an answer. Okay, I'm going to go enjoy some sunshine. So I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.